From the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
This is a primetime news bulletin here on Joy News on multi-TV. For those watching across Europe, you're on ABN television. In this edition, Energy Commission allays fears about possible breaches by Ghana Gas Company following delivery of gas to the plant, despite safety concerns. Meanwhile, energy policy think tank ASAP is urging the Commission to remain resolute in its quest to ensure the right thing is done. Government says metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, especially newly established ones, would have to meet at halfway in efforts to address their security concerns, particularly the provision of police stations. NDC General Secretary Johnson Yesiedun-Ketia says the party is targeting at least 30% of votes in the MPP's Ashanti region stronghold as it seeks to improve its lot there. And vegetable traders in Accra warn of further hikes in onion prices as political disturbances in Ghana's northern neighbor, Burkina Faso, slows down trade. We have more business. George Addo Jr. will be here with all the sports. There'll also be Showbiz and international news coming up in the next 60 minutes. Do stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
Now, contrary to reports that production has begun at the Ghana Gas Processing Plant at Tutuabo in the Western region, the Energy Commission says it has only given clearance for test runs at the facility. It says although it is satisfied with work done so far on the processing plant, it can only go ahead with commissioning after about 6 weeks when it is thoroughly convinced the plant is ready. The Energy Commission maintains that until then, gas processing in commercial quantities cannot begin.
The concerns have largely been informed by correspondents from both the Energy Commission and independent technical auditor, the Wood Group, pointing to some issues which would have to be resolved. The Energy Commission, however, explains it only sought clarification on activities being undertaken by the Ghana Gas at the plant following some leads it had received. It, however, says there is no cause for alarm.
Saturday, that is the 8th of November, we wrote to Ghana Gas to seek clarification about the kind of activities that were going on and how these kind of activities were going to impact on the readiness of the plant to receive the gas. Happily, Ghana Gas replied to us on the 10th of November, clarifying the issue that the activities that were ongoing there were not activities that were impact negatively on the readiness of the plant to receive the gas. They said they were doing certain things in connection with the LPG that is expected from the 10 fields in 2016. So we are satisfied with the explanation that is given.
The technical regulators of the sector insist it has only given the company the mandate to run tests on the gas processing plant. Ghana Gas, meanwhile, has 6 weeks to conduct the test runs, after which the Commission will decide to give it the license to process gas in commercial quantities.
When the period of the test run is over, then we grant them a license. We are very committed. And as I speak to you, we have our men there at Tutuabo right now, following diligently the process. Indeed, the permit that we granted to Ghana Gas, they report to us on a daily basis.
The Energy Commission also insists that it will ensure all technical requirements are met before the plant is finally licensed to operate commercially. Abigail Adomakwentri for Joy News.
Meanwhile, the African Center for Energy Policy is asking the Energy Commission to stick to its resolve to ensure the Ghana Gas Company's processing of gas starts only when the plant is ready to do so. This is because ASAP fears it will spell doom for the country if the concerns that have come up are overlooked.
Aside the independent technical auditors from the Wood Group who have raised serious safety concerns about the Ghana gas processing plant, the Energy Commission also asked Ghana Gas to hold on with the introduction of gas into the plant till it had obtained the necessary clearance. The Africa Center for Energy Policy, while backing the Energy Commission to ensure safety, has implored them to be resolute in their decision.
It is important that cordially Ghana Gas and Energy Commission agree on the best way forward, try to sit down and agree on the concerns that have been raised. If there are extra work that we need to do, we do that to save the country of any future problems, with the plant. And I think that is what is needed at this point. You don't want to see unhealthy infighting that would further delay the project and the process of getting gas to our power plant. So what we want to see is that the Energy Commission will stick to what they think is right to do, and Ghana Gas comply, with what the Energy Commission wants them to do. In the end, safety is key.
For the center, the consequences of processing gas with an uncompleted plant could be dire, as the whole region could be wiped out.
It's closer to communities. Also, the pipeline is linked to another $5 billion investment offshore, talking about FPSO and all the wellheads that are on offshore. I mean, we are talking about $1 billion investment here. That is the hard cash of the country, that could have gone into building schools, hospitals, and roads. But we decided to use it for a gas processing plant. You don't want to see a situation where something untoward will happen to put all that investment at risk.
For Joy News, Abigail Adamakunchi.
Government says municipal, metropolitan and district assemblies, especially the recently created ones, would have to meet at halfway as far as addressing their need for police stations are concerned. It follows recent concerns about security after a number of high-profile murders, particularly the shooting to death of the Nkwanta South DCE, who is said to have highlighted the issue shortly before he was killed. Interior Minister Mark Oyongo, who was answering questions in Parliament on Tuesday, said government is in no position to satisfy the demand for police stations in all districts.
The late Nkwanta South DC, in an earlier interview before his death, had raised concerns about security in the district.
The police are few. They can be everywhere. They can be in the rural areas. We have outstations. In fact, if you care to know, the district command here also superintend over Nkwanta North. So we have outstations like we only have Bruniase, and I think only Bruniase. Also asking that probably the police administration should be able to come out with some few stations, probably 2 or 3 policemen. The communities are ready to give them accommodation, and probably that's the way forward.
There have been many who say government let him down by failing to address his concerns. But the Interior Minister, who was responding to a question on his ministry's plan for the establishment of police posts in newly created districts in the country, said government was financially constrained and was currently unable to fully meet the demands of providing each of the newly created districts with police stations.
I want to know from the minister, what is his ministry's policy towards providing decent accommodation for police service in the new districts?
Because of resource constraints, the ministry is unable to provide infrastructure. And that is why we made an appeal to the Ministry of Local Government to use the district offices, district assemblies, to provide the infrastructure. And I must say that some of the districts, or a lot of the districts, are responding positively to our appeal. We are urging the district assemblies to use part of their common fund and the DDF to construct, put up infrastructure for police stations and fire service stations.
Later in an interview with Joy News, the minister also downplayed claims about an increase in crime rates, describing the murders that have been highlighted in recent times as isolated incidents. He, however, says the ministry is in talks with the police to see how to curb them.
There are so many reasons which one could attribute to the rise in crime. But I don't even see it as a rise in crime, because from the reports we're getting from the police headquarters, there is no indication that there is a serious rise in the crime wave. What is happening is that there are some isolated cases. No, I think what is happening in Ghana is a lot much better than what is happening in, say, Nigeria or other countries where crime levels are so high. Admittedly, we should be aiming at ensuring that we don't have crime in our country, but that is inevitable. I mean, crime is inevitable. But at the end of the day, if you look at the levels compared to other countries, we are much better. But we could improve on it.
Makoyongo further urged the citizenry to aid the police by providing relevant information that will help the police in apprehending criminals. Apart from the high-profile murders that have made the headlines, such as that of the Nkwanta South DCE, artist manager Fenix Ochri, and the chief of Joma near Ablekuma, the killing of a 55-year-old businessman in his car at Tema, the murder of a staff of Zenith Bank, 2 employees of Stanbic Bank and Fidelity Bank, have got people concerned about personal security and whether the police is doing enough. For Joy News, Kwabna Chenchehine Boating.
The police administration should be able to come out with some few stations, probably 2 or 3 policemen. The communities are ready to give them accommodation.
Now, checks have been released for the payment of allowances due National Service volunteers who completed their service in 2014. The National Executive Committee of the National Service Personnel Association, NASPA, confirmed the checks are in respect of July and August allowances. National President of NASPA says service personnel should contact their respective district offices to claim their monies.
President of NASPA, Eko Asafua Vincent, commended all members for their maturity and patience for the 2 months delay in the payment of their allowances.
All of us are aware of the canker that is bedeviling the national service, and having some few challenges and problems here and there. And so, for that matter, we have decided to use the media this time around to announce the release of service allowance to service persons across the country.
The affected service persons had threatened a demonstration over the delay in the payment of their allowances. He, however, explains that will no longer be necessary since the monies have been released.
They came to national service in fulfillment of what the vision of the then military leader in 1973, Kutu Champon, had, that there should be a mobilization of young men and women in this country to embark on what we call national service, just to contribute to national economic development. And so we should all buy into that vision and that focus, and make sure that we revisit our notes and make sure that we contribute to the development of this country.
He also commended the president for instituting investigations into the financial activities of the scheme.
We're taking a break, but we have more stories coming up thereafter. Don't go away. A shortage of onions and other vegetables is likely in the coming months if the political situation in Burkina Faso does not return to normal soon. According to onion traders who expressed this fear, onion prices, which have already escalated in the last few weeks, is likely to climb further as a bulk of their produce is imported from that country.
The onion market, located in the central business district of Accra, has been operating for the past 50 years. From here, onions are distributed to virtually every part of the country. Traders here depend largely on onions imported from Burkina Faso, partly because that variety is most preferred, but also because local production is in demand. The political stalemate has therefore badly affected business as trade has been hindered. The traders say they are now having to rely on import from Niger and Holland, hiking their cost in the process.
Formerly, we used to offload about 30-35 trucks a day. But now, because of that issues, we used to offload 7, when it's highest of 11. So it makes us, they increase the price. Instead of formerly, we are buying a sack of onion, some 100 Ghana cedis. Now, because of the shortage, we are buying it 130. The 130, when you reach here, the expenditure and everything, it costs a lot. So we are now selling it 160 to 170 Ghana cedis. We are supposed to sell it TSF 80 cedis or 70. Because of that, we are selling it high. So we are facing a lot.
They also call in for support so local farmers can produce more.
Everywhere across the distance, all of them are taking owners from this market. So we are facing a lot. So we need a support. We are appealing to our leaders, they should look inside so that they should support us. When we get support, I think we can also do something. We'll produce onions, people will like it, and everybody will get the price moderate.
Some women in the business poured out their frustrations. Meanwhile, they also fear meat products are likely to be affected, as a considerable amount of the livestock slaughtered for meat in Ghana is imported from Burkina Faso. Supply of other vegetables like tomatoes, carrots and cabbage, among others, could also be affected for the same reason. Matilda Fumaga for Joy News, Accra.
Minority Leader in Parliament Osei Asare has lashed out at the government for sidestepping the country's procurement laws. Speaking at a meeting organized by the WA UDS campus branch of the Tertiary Students' Confederacy of the NPP, he stated that even though the NPP introduced the procurement law, more than 80% of contracts awarded in the country are done through sole sourcing. He urged the youth to raise red flags anytime a contract goes for sole sourcing, because that is recipe for corruption. Rafiq Salam's report from WA.
The atmosphere for the program became more charged upon the arrival of the minority leader in Parliament and some bigwigs of the NPP in the Upper West region. Minority leader Osei Asare did not mince words in his assessment of the performance of the National Democratic Congress government since they took over the reins of government in January 2009. Juxtaposing sums of contracts awarded during the regime of the NPP and that of the NDC, Osei Asare said the NDC has nothing to offer Ghanaians.
This is not corruption. It's open thievery. It's stealing. It's stealing. Let's confront the issues. It's people stealing. That is what we should take to Ghanaians with a half. They are not only mismanaging, but fraudulently, they are lining their pockets with what is not theirs. That's the message that the good people of this country deserve to know. So we help them, we help ourselves to rescue this country from the hands of people who are mismanaging the affairs of this country in such gargantuan manner.
He stated even though the NPP government introduced the national procurement law, it has been sidestepped by the NDC government. The national youth organizer of the NPP, Samir Uku, revealed part of the party's campaign strategy for the 2016 elections.
I want to urge you, let us campaign like never before. The youth wing of the NPP will wage a separate youth campaign for 2016. What will resonate with the white boys and the girls be different from what will resonate with the elder. From the temples to the churches, from the mosque to the streets, we shall take our campaign to everybody.
The program was held on the theme, the role of students' leadership in national development. Rafiq Salam's report from WA.
Also, the National Democratic Congress says it is hoping to claim not less than 30% of the votes available in the Ashanti region come the 2016 general elections. Addressing party executives, delegates and sympathizers at the Regional Congress in Kumasi, General Secretary Johnson Isidun Ketia tasked the regional executives to work vigorously towards achieving the set target. The NDC General Secretary conceded the party will be unable to win power come 2016 without votes from the Ashanti region. He says the party is therefore aiming to win at least 1 million votes from the region to seal its victory in 2016. He mentioned the progress the NDC has made in the region since the 2004 general elections and called on Ghanaians to retain the ruling party in power and asked them to pay no heed to the change mantra crusade by the MPP. The Ashanti Regional Minister Samuel Sapon called on the party members to maintain the peace to ensure the party retains power in 2016. Elsewhere, Ghana's war veterans living in the northern region are calling on the military high command to have a special dispensation for their children with the requisite qualification interested in joining the army. Making the appeal at a wreath-laying ceremony in Tamale to commemorate Remembrance Day, a day set aside to honor Ghanaian soldiers who died in World War I, the veterans said it would be a form of compensation to them.
Amongst the many Ghanaian soldiers who fought in the World War I, alongside Allied forces in the Gold Coast Regiment of the Royal West African Frontier Force, was Alhaji Grunshi of Northern Ghana extraction, who is credited as the first British Army soldier to fire a shot anywhere in World War I. Northern Regional Minister Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Limuna laid a wreath on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, whilst Garrison Commander Air Commodore Santrosi Evans laid one on behalf of the security services. Welfare Officer of the Northern Regional Veterans Association of Ghana, Right Colonel Abdullahi Barima Commodore Steve, also laid one on behalf of the veterans, while the Paramount Chief of Tamale, Gupe Na Abdullahi Al-Hassan, laid one on behalf of traditional authorities. An impressive parade was mounted by detachments drawn from the Army, Navy, Air Force, police and veteran soldiers. Welfare Officer of the Northern Regional Veterans Association of Ghana, Right Colonel Abdullahi Barima, made the appeal for the consideration of the awards who were interested in joining the army.
In Britain, all the ex-servicemen, the Nigerians are ex-servicemen, they are in the military. Here in Ghana, they will go and then serve them. To me, what we have done nothing. I have 6 boys, very giant ones. None of them. Only one is interested in the army. We try so many times. If the funds come, I will back for him. Then later on, we see that everything is done. It worries me too much. I was 19 when I volunteered in the army during the Second World War. They were catching people by force, but I volunteered 19 years old at that time.
6BN Commander Lieutenant Colonel William Kwabia advised the veterans to always preach for Ghana to remain peaceful. The Remembrance Day also afforded the platform for the Mayor of Tamale, Abdul Hanan Gundado, to reunite with the Paramount Chief of Tamale. The Paramount Chief last month threatened to lock up the offices of the Mayor after he refused to grant permission to some traders who allocated spaces at the Tamale Kasajan Company front view to place their containers. Sub-Chief of the Paramount Chief, Sahana Alhaji Abdul Latif, said the chief has reconciled with the Tamale MCE for the two to work together to bring development and prosperity to the metropolis.
Whatever it will take to make our, organization grow, his doors are always open for consultations anytime you want to come. This is just information. He's also great to help.
A report by Hashmin Mohammed.
Up next, Abigail Aduma Kuyinshi is back with business. Stay tuned.
Hello there, time now for some business reports with me, Abigail Adoma Koenchi. Now, it appears the call by President Mahama for the country's donor partners to resume the disbursement of funds to support the economy is yielding some fruits. The latest development partner to respond to is the Danish government. Its ambassador to Ghana, Majid Thompson, tells Joy Business they are doing this following some improvement in the economy. Now, this should be good news for government. Joy Business has learned other donor partners would soon resume the release of funds meant to support projects in the 2014 budget. Now, moving on to some other stories. The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation is giving assurance that it would use the $700 million loan it is contracting to purely fund its own operations. There have been reports that the corporation is just borrowing the loan to later pass it on to government. But Chief Executive Alex Mould says GNPC needs the funds badly to enable it to become a relevant oil and gas company. Negotiations between the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union of TUC and Mitchell Ocean Development and Engineering Company Modak over the dismissal of 27 workers has broken down, according to General Secretary of the GTPCW, Hussaini Idrisu. It was automatically impossible to go ahead with the meeting as all the executives of the local union have been dismissed. 27 local workers of Modak, a private company working on FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, was sacked after they went on a strike a week ago to demand improved service conditions and remuneration. But in what happens to appear as a contrast to a memorandum of understanding signed by the workers and management, Modak went ahead to dismiss the 27 workers for the involvement in what it calls illegal strike. But the workers are unhappy with their unfair dismissal and insist they will do everything, including petitioning the National Labour Commission and taking legal action to reinstate Eric Ofori, Divisional Union Secretary of Modak and the General Secretary of GTPCW. Hussaini Idrisu were in our studio earlier on today's big story. Take a listen.
Oh, it was stated categorically clear that in a spirit of social partnership, all the workers will retain their job and enjoy all the existing benefits as Modak employees. Secondly, the workers are going to go back to work and ensure that the normal rotation, normal job is restored. Now, the MOU stated that the back-to-back, when you say back-to-back, I mean 28. Yeah. So if somebody goes, another one will go and replace the person. Those back-to-back will have to be called and go back and replace those who are striking, and then later normal rotation will be restored. MOU also stated categorically that nobody is going to be victimized. Nobody is going to be sacked. On that basis that we signed the MOU. Without that, we wouldn't have signed that MOU.
With the dismissals that went on, it means the executive, the local executives of the union, who are the union officers, were dismissed. So automatically, by the constitution, if the local union representatives are not around, the standing negotiating committee cannot go on with it. And I think that what we are looking up now to ensure that the workers are called back to work. That is the issue we are confronted with now. And I think that the union will ensure that we fight and get the workers back to work. That we wrote to the management today. We are expecting that they should respond by instating the guys. If they don't, then I think that the option that we have, we'll definitely look at it, and then perhaps we might go to the Labour Commission for a redress.
But you are determined to do that? We are
determined to do that, and because we are very sure that we have a case and we can win the case.
Following that issue, but away from that to something on investment, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, says it would extend the needed support to remove foreigners operating in retail markets contrary to the law. Trade Minister Ecospio Gabra has disclosed it to Joy Business. It would from December start ejecting foreigners who are trading in retail markets illegally. There have, however, been concerns that GIPC might plead with government not to go ahead with this action as it would have implications for investment promotion in Ghana. But Chief Executive of the Center, Marina Trevor, tells Joy Business the laws of the land must be respected, explaining that as an investment promotion center, the GIPC must and will continue to support every effort the Trade Ministry. Meanwhile, Chief Justice Georgina Wood has said foreigners illegally engaging in retail business would soon be heard before some special law courts. The courts will possibly sit on Saturdays to try offenders of the law. Now, organizers of this year's Heritage Week have called on institutions, corporate bodies and organizations to patronize this year's week-long observation, which seeks to encourage domestic tourism in the country. The Heritage Week celebration is set aside by the Ministry of Tourism to boost internal tourism among Ghanaian and foreigners to make the sector more vibrant.
According to the Graphic Communications Group, who are the main organizers for the 2014 Heritage Week, promoting domestic tourism in the country will help encourage Ghanaians to appreciate the rich culture, natural endowment and foster national cohesion, unity and peace.
Unfortunately, we know that most of our heritage sites are not really being patronized. And what is more, there's also a cultural poverty in terms of Ghanaians actually knowing about our history and about what has made us a nation. So creating this as a week whereby Ghanaians will actually patronize our sites, patronize our culture, is a way of promoting tourism and also promoting awareness of our culture.
According to the organizers, the week-long celebration, which begins from December 8th, is open to individuals, corporate bodies and institutions.
Now, from the 8th of December onwards, every day there will be guaranteed departures to different tourism sites in Ghana. There's a tour of Accra, for example, a tour of the eastern region, a tour of the Volta region, and also of the central region, so that people can actually go and spend a day out, either in family or with friends, enjoying themselves, of course, but at the same time learning about our culture and our history. Well, you can get enrolled through the Daily Graphic, of course, which is the main promoter of this initiative, and they're also putting up a website, and there's also One People Travels that is putting up a website, and all this will be available on the websites. The advert should be out by next week in the Daily Graphic Communication.
Churches and religious groups are also aimed to encourage the various grouping within the assemblies to engage in domestic travels.
And that'll be all for business. Keep abreast with business news on myjoyonline.com.
Right now, time to talk about some sports, and we have to talk about the African Cup of Nations because everyone is getting ready for the tournament, but we still don't know who is hosting this. Morocco would not host the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations as originally scheduled. The North African country have also been banned from participating in the tournament when it does kick off. The Confederation of African Football confirmed this at its emergency meeting today in Cairo to find a new host for the tournament.
CAF did not announce a new venue for the tournament due to take place from the 17th of January to 8th of February. What they do say is that several countries have applied to host the competition. CAF also say Morocco, who were due to host it but had asked for a postponement due to the Ebola outbreak in some West African countries, has been disqualified from the competition. Well, let's talk to Nick Cavell now from BBC African Sports. Nick, CAF said they had a plan B. Where is it?
I think they must be discussing it at the moment and going to reveal it tomorrow. They say there's up to 3 nations involved who would like to host the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. We're not too sure who they are, but some names that maybe spring to mind are countries that have hosted it recently. One name I think that maybe in the frame is Angola. They hosted it well in 2010. It was overshadowed by the Togo bus shooting, and so they may want to try and put that to one side and create create better memories. They do have the financial clout, and also it's their 40th year of independence next year, so they may want to use it as a way of showcasing the country.
Well, despite the lack of movement on the issue, qualifying matches for the competition will continue all across the continent this weekend. There'll also be games played a week on Wednesday, as 15 finalists will be determined by the group standings.
Ghana will hope to be one of those finalists, and just as well, the Black Stars trained this afternoon at the Accra Stadium. 21 members of the Black Stars caretaker coach, Maxwell Konedu's squad, began training later this afternoon at the Accra Sports Stadium. And of course, they are getting themselves ready for Saturday's 2015 AFCON qualifier against Uganda. Defender Jeffrey Slope and midfielder Solomon Asante of TP Mazembe are expected to join the team later tonight. And the Ghana Football Association has decided to camp the team here in Ghana before the two matches against Uganda and Togo. Just as you're aware, there's no Asamoah Gyan, there's no Kwadwo Asamoah. Potentially, even though Jordan Ayew was training with the team, he will not be part when they play there. So let's talk about Asamoah Gyan, who won't be part. And he has lauded the Confederation of African Football for their decision to go ahead with the AFCON 2015 tournament, despite fears over the spread of the deadly Ebola virus. CAF insists the tournament will go on as planned, despite Morocco pulling out as host. And the Black Stars skipper, Asamoah Gyan, in contrast, with the position held by many African players to cancel the tournament, is back in CAF.
Talking about the African Cup and this Ebola scare, I think things happen in life. This is the time we need to support and then how to cure the disease. If our brothers, our neighbor, is having this problem, this is the time we need to support them, not to neglect them. For me, I think it should happen. The African Cup should proceed. It has to be played, whether in Morocco or anywhere. But I heard stories about cancelling the tournament and stuff. I don't think it's a good thing to cancel the tournament. And what I think is we should just support the country that have been infected by the disease, and then we move on. We don't need to neglect them. Sometimes, for example, we see people from Guinea and say, Ebola. It's not. I don't think it's the right thing. It can happen to everybody. So, but what I think is the African Cup of Nations to just continue.
This is a special African Cup of Nations in its right. So we'll see how it all goes after the drama as well and truly settled. But let's stay in the country and talk about, a big event, because Accra Hearts of Oak turned 103 today. And celebrations to mark the glorious event have been up there. But the question most people are asking is, what is there to celebrate for the club that has gone off the radar since winning the maiden edition of the CAF Confederations Cup in 2004? Managing Director of Hearts of Oak, Gerard Ankra, has promised to turn around the club's fortunes. But our cameras were at the club secretariat in Accra while the celebrations were ongoing and caught this.
As we are about to cut the cake, just have this feeling at the back in you that today begins the new Accra House of Hope.
Amen.
The House of Hope that we all will be proud of.
Amen.
So I'll ask all of us to quickly get back and put our shoulders to the wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you the best of the event and the best for House of Hope. Phobia! Phobia! Good, let's keep on. This 103rd birthday cake in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, so never say die until the bones are rotting, and just as it goes, phobia, the boys are good, the best, everything it goes. We'll see how they go through it, but of course they have to wait certainly for the league to start. The tussles are ongoing between the Ghana FA and Chem Fire, so we'll see how that goes. But congratulations, Accra Heartsville, and happy birthday, 103, certainly one of the giants of football in the country. Ending sports tonight, I'm George Adi Jr. Israel joined us with some more. Have a good night.
So I'm now for Showbiz. And there are times when we've had to settle for second best when our first choice didn't work out. Lots of us are today working in areas we really never fancied, yet we appear to be doing pretty well there. Well, that is the story of one of Ghana's most successful rappers, Adam. He's been talking to Showbiz about his dream that never came to pass.
Actually, I think Adam is a musician already and he's a star. He has hit the screen of many TVs. So I think if he goes to movies, he will do very well because he's now improving on his music clips and stuff. So I think if he slips a bit to music, it will work for him. No.
Yeah, I think if he's okay with that, I'm cool because that's where he wants to be that's where he wants to be right now. So there's nothing we can do about it. Let's just, pray and then hope he comes out successful.
Well, if he has the talent to act, I think it's a good idea because you're not supposed to be limited to just one thing. So it's a good idea. Supposing he has the talent, that's the important thing.
I don't know him to be a movie star, but I see him to be someone creative and artistic. So if you are creative and artistic, you should be versatile. So you should be able to break boundaries and go into other industry. It could be an experiment, and when it works out, you could make some.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has restored power to the Kumasi Polytechnic after authorities agreed to settle the outstanding bills in 2 weeks. The school supply was disconnected last Thursday after they accumulated 10 months arrears. But as Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports, ECG officials who have been on a mass disconnection exercise were not so lucky in another suburb of the Ashanti regional capital.
The Kumasi Polytechnic has for the past 4 days been in darkness because authorities had failed to settle its electricity bill amounting to 652,000 Ghana cedis. According to the ECG, this was after the authorities failed to respond to several notices sent them since January this year. Not even the rants of the rector about who owed the ECG the most could get officials to restore power once it was disconnected last week, disrupting academic work and other activities in the school. The ECG's regional public relations manager says power was restored on Monday after agreement was reached on a payment plan. There was power when joinees visited the campus, much to the delight of the students. The school authorities were, however, unavailable to comment. At Old Tafel, also in Kumasi, however, the ECG officials got assaulted during Monday's mass disconnection exercise. The case has since been reported to the Old Tafel Pankrono Divisional Police Command. A report by Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin.
And that's it for the bulletin. Before we go a quick round through our top stories, the Energy Commission has allayed fears about the possible breaches by the Ghana Gas Company following delivery of gas to the plant, despite safety concerns. Meanwhile, energy policy think tank ASAP is urging the Commission to remain resolute in its quest to ensure the right thing is done. Government says metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, especially newly established ones, would have to meet it halfway in efforts to address their security concerns, particularly the provision of police stations. NDC General Secretary Johnson Nketia says the party is targeting at least 30% of votes in the NPP's Ashanti region stronghold as it seeks to improve its lot there. And vegetable traders in Accra warn of further hikes in onion prices. Political disturbances in Ghana's northern neighbor, Burkina Faso, slows down trade. That's it. My name is Relay. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.